Age Jinzo Jebe Zonam Je Dola Benje Sanje Do Baraishu Sanje Jaganzo Je Zonam Loi Janjo Bardo Dani Jabsanj Age Jinzo Jebe Zonam Je Dola Benje Sanje Do Baraishu. From now until enlightenment, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, and by the merit created this practice, may I attain this state of Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. From now until enlightenment, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, and by the merit created this practice, may I attain this state of Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. From now until enlightenment, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, and by the merit created this practice, may I attain the state of Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. Making this kind of prayer, the prayer kind of goes like this. When you are experiencing a suffering or difficulties or problem, you visualize that entire suffering kind of falls upon you, and the entire suffering kind of dry up like a big ocean. And when you experience a happiness and joy or pleasure, you visualize that this is the result of your positive karma, and you kind of dedicate, or you kind of share, or you kind of send this to other sentient beings, and then you visualize having a happiness and joy for all other sentient beings. And of course, this kind of practice is beyond, or this kind of practice or thought is beyond minds of ordinary people, let alone ordinary people. Even within the Buddhist, those who are followers of the lesser vehicle or Theravada system, or heroes in solitary realizes vehicle, for them also this is beyond their abilities, or beyond their kind of thought or imagination. And so this can happen only to practitioners of a greater vehicle, Mahayana, and within that especially practitioners of those who are following a great practice of mind training, or in the practice of altruistic mind.
간도 개바 첨보가 있는 세상이 개바 첨보가 있나 개바 첨보기 삼리 켜서디 시와디 시고지 내체 붙여줘야 돼 디케나 랑라 키마가 좀된 자와이니요 알잖아 근데 섬을 스타데 독신 루자 여성 가지기나 손을 납치 못해요
practitioners here, and we claim to be practitioners or followers of Creative Vehicle Mahayana. So, therefore, it is good to know, the motivation or intention, or the attitude of Mahayana practitioners, especially following the practice of mind training. And this kind of thought is always beneficial, and there's beneficials in every kind of, way, and no kind of disadvantages at all. The stronger you have, power of your mind, or the more, extensive your mind is, the more, your object of observation can become, larger, and with that kind of, you accumulate as a practitioner more positive merits, and that kind of, open, broad-minded. At the level of physical, it's really healthy, as His Holiness says.
유리 깨버지 깨버 냠바 매바 가서 투투집에 지 공공대자리 나와 여러분의 진 플레이하기 와다 탑람는 배고야 두수진이 그지 시디가라다 또또 삼리 켜져도 야첨부 제거네 냠부 지금 순거 이디가라다 딜랑게 가래 온 거 알잖아 게디 한 진지 왕기 템비 뇨몬비 니제디 어서 이게 최소 지겨 와다 드림 납작년이 나면 와다 빈디르이 뇨모데 안데스 장과래 안데스 장과래 이제 딱같이 시행으로 왔어.
So in the practice of mind training, essentially what we are doing is trying best to decrease and prevent, this self-cherishing thought, this ego mind, egocentric mind, and promoting and developing at our best this thought of cherishing others, mother sentient beings, thought of altruism, awakening mind. And if you haven't generated, we try to generate it, and if you already possess some, try to maintain and preserve that. And if you already have some, then further kind of promoting and developing, this kind of thought. And then we try to engage in the method and the technique and how to kind of preserve and promote this thought. And so the main kind of focus is, in this practice here is really kind of looking one's own thoughts and one's own mind. And one of the most obvious obstacles, barriers that we face in this practice is this obstacle of self-cherishing thought itself, this egocentric mind, that itself becomes a big obstacle. And then there are other emotions or afflictions or negative or destructive thoughts that could also become obstacles. So here in this section we are dealing with other kind of obstacles and how to sort of to challenge them.
온도 균데네 강에 명문 수제리 디디 한번 매서 우리 딱 그치 손으로 왔어.
So in the text, root text, if you have a same book, it's on page 101. So it talks about, in dealing with the negative emotions, here it talks about in what kind of sequence, what stages. That the root text says, purify the coarser ones first. So the first one that we need to be dealing or challenging, not subtle and not kind of small, but rather coarse one, the one that needs to be purified. You must make an effort to counter all the disturbing emotions in general, and in particular the coarser ones, through a fine analysis of your mind. So the first, in kind of challenging or in destroying or in purifying negative emotions, the first one that we will be dealing ones are the one that is at the manifested level, that is kind of sort of ongoing disturbing emotions. And in applying antidotes, we need to apply antidote which is, as mentioned here, kind of small antidote. You don't need to apply subtle ones. So in this regard, we find an kind of metaphor mentioned in the documents of Perfection of Wisdom, text by Kunchen Javan Shepa. He used an example of when washing a dirty piece of cloth. If the piece of cloth or rag is really dirty, when you wash it, when there's a big dirt, you don't need that much water. A small amount of water can clean off big dirt. But the dirt is or stain is small, and it is strong. Then you need more water, you need stronger detergent, you need more effort to purify. Likewise, same kind of apply to our disturbing or negative emotions. When negative emotions are kind of big, we apply small antidote that can be that can use to purify. And as it gets subtler and subtler, antidote needs to be stronger and stronger. So we even talked before about the subtlest obscurations can be purified by very strong antidote combination of wisdom realizing emptiness with or accompanied by altruistic mind, and those antidotes are needed to eliminate subtlest kind of cognitive obscurations to purify. So these instructions again are something that should be helpful if we apply in our practice instead of just living or reading like a storybook. The practice of generating altruistic mind or bodhicitta in general is something not kind of easy. It requires a great effort, and especially when thinking about visualizing your object of observation or target. It's very extensive and broad, and but however this shouldn't be kind of cause of discouragement in the practice. And again, what is required here is, as we always say, is kind of making ourselves familiar with the practice or understanding, and then for that we need kind of sort of habitual or familiarity doing or reading it again and again. Once we get used to the concept, then that will generate a sort of interest in us, sort of impetus, and that will kind of make us move further into the practice. 로션 디스커션 이겠지.
로샤가. 지금 이제번에 진락 체 랍지 술진 넘버 따봐 송에 톱체리.
짐벌 랍치.
짐바 랍치 랍체의 경 술진 따버 송아 톱체리. 이 질진에 자주기 센다. 내가 타운 지도 민달에 빠자 sempre chawa tenchu wata ti garsung gore kana gacha ko ba te chen gore azu jimba 술진 상에 술진데 차래 jimba데 라바 jimba데 단도 또또 장진기 jimba다 jim바란 jim바 넘버 숨이야 장진기 jim바티 또또 맞어 레라 차리요 이나양이 세나 사부지가 짐바래 알지게 예ቱ는 니저요 봐 뒤지고 술진데 그럼 왜 자네 벌진 두고 나는 술진데 짐발았잖아 차차리어래지 가자 뽑아더니 사람들이 애니베 가자 거가 주중 그 왕이 다 싫어 남지 땡해야 가면 되는 거 저도 이가 송거는 사람들은 리치라 술집 매는데 가서 그래 미지 지마 지에 그 돈달라 술은 내었다는 거야 이 용거 했어 배나 디스무도 키로지기 샤와 디제 이 제된 결혼지라 아니 그 샤와지 때리 교통성에서는 딱 제된 결혼들라 술팀들 때 쉬우진 내 전부 차들 무슨 말을 술팀들 그 술팀은 주기가 와 무슨 말을 돈 받이 그때 내 전부 차들이가 돼 가자 랑기 줌미 말에 술좀 긴 가자래 그봐 하기 생기 쏘죠 봐다 민지기 짐바지야 아니 마체베 키로와들라야 겨치마 레기 내민 투주메이데 그봐 니여인사 어다 전기 라치 좀 되네 그 차와르서 지대야 많이 받잖아 아니 양이 내 토마소스 계속해서 막 토마소스 양만이 샤와 디철치는 전 니는 로선스 람땡이었다고 어다 두스제니 같이 치 켜볼 마라 하기 고바 니 요리 차니 고발 지체에 있는 가져도 고발 지체에 고발이 담가져 봐 어다 근데 용거 어다 뒤도 내와 제디가 까까불이 내외 니 잠만임 봐 남주던데 실업던데 애니베 강 개법체는 도시네 니체국으로 쓸순과 어떻게 시부지 오늘다 가시기 이 오늘 막 아주 지속 하나는 연구도 가시 내 장포로 라비 인스 라네 아니 때 지속 하나는 연구도 해지 차도 어떻게 되더라 가잖아 가져 뽑아대 좀 맞으기 경기 따지 연구하고 장포를 민거나 맞아 미 팬도제야 donde 냠내지로 미 전 망부지는 너베이나 장부이나 대마소 데리치 초보 만지 간식 이 컵두디 부자리 명이 가와데 개침부도 와 어떻게도 난 기술 지도나 팽야기 라자데 어떻게
The next from the root text is practice that which is more effective, or practice that which is more meaningful, which is more important. In general, generosity is worthwhile, but observance or pure moral discipline is more powerful. Similarly, it is most important to lay the potential for the awakening mind and not to be separated from it under any circumstances. In the practice, what is most important to accomplish is obviously the most, the first thing to accomplish is that the one that you think is most important objective, and in here we can say attainment of enlightenment, and to attain that kind of objective, there could be many techniques, many methods. Likewise, many obstacles, and sometimes it requires a very long period. Attaining of enlightenment is not something that can be sort of achievable, say, in one lifetime. Therefore, it might be taking sometimes several rebirths, and when going through that kind of practice, one needs to have that objective of attaining enlightenment. So with that kind of far-reaching mission, whatever you do in this lifetime, maybe next lifetime, maybe next several lifetime, you will be doing something kind of really something action which will lead to attaining that positive result. So all action has to be a positive, virtuous. Therefore, it has a benefit in kind of not only this lifetime but several lifetime. Um, in the example we find especially in the 6 practice of perfections, the first one is generosity, and second one is a practice of moral discipline or ethical discipline. When we look at this 6th list, generally it is considered that the first one is coarse, and then second is subtle, and as you go down the list it becomes more subtler and subtler. In terms of practice, first one is most easiest to practice. Generosity is not simply kind of act of giving, but there are 3 different types of generosity. Here we can use an example of from 3 types of generosity. Generosity of the common understanding that we have, just giving possessions or wealth, or that kind of generosity. So the reason this example is used here is we don't always have to be saying that moral discipline or vows are more important, therefore I will stick to my vow, even though at that particular circumstances practice of generosity might be more important, more needed, more meaningful. So we need to understand the overall circumstances and able to use our kind of intelligent in its best way. So we find the example of in the text, we find an example of this fully ordained monk who has a vow not to tell lie. But when he was kind of in the forest doing his retreat or practice, and he saw a deer running close to him, and immediately after that deer, that hunter is running after the deer, and the hunter kind of asked a monk who is on the retreat, and asked which direction did deer went. And as a fully ordained monk, the first thing that he might be thinking that I am a monk, so therefore I need to holding my vow and I shouldn't be telling lie. But in that situation, it is kind of permissible, to consider generosity as more important, because one of the generous practice of generosity is giving a protection of life. So in this case here, if you hold on to kind of his vow or moral discipline as a highest and supreme, and then tell honestly, the negative effect would be, hunter will kill the deer. Not only the deer will lose its life, but hunter will also create negative karma, act of killing. So here it might be make more sense, more reasonable, somehow kind of avoiding giving correct information, and maybe telling kind of lie. And here you are really kind of weighing, which one is more important, saving a life or just giving up small part of your vow. So this the concept of understanding the whole picture and then applying which is more important is something that that is useful and happen in our kind of day-to-day community life. Some people might do that. Being honest is good and it's important. So just being honest and then kind of doing something which is causing a big problem against the society, whole society, is probably a not good idea. So you need to kind of see what is the impact, why you should be doing that at particular. So sometimes, if your honesty is causing a big problem, then it might be a way to compromise, and so that you should take an approach in such a way that it is not bringing a big destruction or damaging society as a whole.
진소 퍼진을 라고야 돼 가르데 전주기 딘도의 진소 퍼진 주기 툴이 전주기 센터 뭐 콘텐츠 당하게 털어줄 수 있는 거야. 양들은 대수도 보면 예, 센 때는 저게 친구들 라고 하는데 소도 예, 간지 퍼진 주기 냠는데 전주기 센 뭐 콘텐츠 당하게 기자로 와.
Generosity being kind of coarse, and then moral discipline being more subtle. We also know that from the from the point of view of the result, the result of generosity in future, or is wealth, getting more wealth, while the result of moral ethics is a higher rebirth of attaining a human form. But however, the whatever practice that you engage in, the most important thing here is that practice, or that your reaction must be never separated from altruistic mind or awakening mind. Not to be separated from it under any circumstances. So altruism, bodhicitta, awakening mind, it should be always there all the time. And in fact, when we look at the practice of six perfections, those are the practices which further kind of develop, this thought of altruistic mind. Once you attain, or you are engaged in the altruistic mind, bodhicitta, then comes the practice of six perfections.
Degree manyamba. Lapala paye manyamba. Lojong la toa manyamba. Se sundwa. Tazi mori kech mori. Tamaranzo chik kanji bala so shengin samjira lama seya mare. Iti sam mare. Lama la lami tini tsawa. Mori uwa. Yamorum jitati nebo shibu sundwa. Chik kajeset tuji lama sayada mare. Oda tenjigi dijene ni yosemete dijene kashi kamar chibu tengwa. Oda lama sini masana lama agi tengyo mare. Oda ten chinjela lama la khanderi chona rangi teki manyamba chene. Oda chik lam narope tilo atemba naji, marve naro atemba naji, mile marwa atemba naji jichene. Pasa jichena lama wana tsedengi lama jina kali ini terapani lame china tsengi yonae lama. Kagi risheso khana yore. Mugi ki tepa manyana chile ki mugi tepa mena chile ki chugin nimba. What a tususuna. Mugi tepas shivuji tachmori. Tambo tepa japala lame pincha tapa. Lama the Romani bala taje chewa. Any chick peshala hao. Any pe tambo indo hao che jugu stini. Any chick peshala hao. Any pe tele anga mira chingin joine sotela kiena. Any yahu ten zawani ni amare. Ten zawani ni amare. Oda teso pe minisiba nindirjewa.
Tika sun kasan mukyu kajube sun kalle.
Mukyu ki tepa mena chenle ki chugin ni babs. Ne chambor. Ani kyangor muje tape ni bambubi lama zima teni one kyangor muje dichera cheze sudus. Ani kyangor muje teni ke chama khana to pe lama singi lobjonche lama singi tajeche ni pe lama zima re no ngama re tajeche ni dusyon ma tampun pe lama da roma che ke shigi amar suri kyangor muje uschi na sana ni sunwa. To ne chambore. One kyangor muje temba shatsani kanan joai.
Don't let three factors weaken the root text. This refers to not letting your faith in and respect. This refers to not letting your faith in and respect for your spiritual masters diminish, not letting your attention to ethical training waver, and not letting your joy in mind training lessen. Not diminishing or disappearing of faith and respect to your spiritual teacher, the first one. Here it is very, somebody who is knowledgeable and who is good in talking doesn't necessarily mean that he can become a spiritual teacher. And what is important here, as His Holiness often kind of advises, that when you are seeking in spiritual journey or practice, it is important to make sure that you first examine qualifications of your spiritual teacher, before establishing relationship of teacher and student. And once you have adopted somebody as your teacher, and once you have created that relationships, teacher and student, then it is your responsibility, to do your best, but before that, it's more important to kind of be cautious and be kind of doing your everything to make sure that you actually are following right teacher. And so once you have created a connection or relationship, then connection or relationship should be such a way that, when we look into the past great masters, between such as in Kagyupa tradition, Naropa and his master Thilopa, and then Marpa and his master, Naropa, and then later we find, Milarepa and his teacher Marpa, how they maintain their relationship as a spiritual teacher and spiritual disciple. And in fact, there is a saying in Kagyu that if you don't have faith and respect to your teacher, there will never be a flow of blessings from your teacher. So out of pure faith, trust and belief in your spiritual teacher, then one can receive what we call blessings from your spiritual teacher. So, but however, for that, as we mentioned before, it is really important to, before kind of, making this connection, making sure that your teacher is qualified one, in terms of his behavior, his education, because there's always kind of risk, and there's always danger of falling under somebody who pretend to be a spiritual teacher, but in fact, on the way to making money, getting much wealthier, and then later, if you end up being kind of so anti your teacher, that won't be really good for your spiritual practice. So His Holiness kind of share his thought when people come to him and complain about that, they were being fooled by a spiritual teacher. Now what should they do? And His Holiness says that how to find and seek a spiritual teacher, the method and the ways has been already shown in the text. So you should study text and then follow those texts, and to make sure that you get the right teacher from the very beginning, and so that later you don't kind of fall into this kind of problem. So those were a great kind of advice, serious advice for practitioners. Great Master Kongdan Rinpoche also says that
teachers who pretend to be a teacher but not real teacher can lead to a downfallment of spiritual practitioners or students. So again, the very reason why we create this connection, teacher and student, is to help each another and benefit. And that is the reason. If it becomes more problem, more difficult, then it's not kind of going towards the right direction. And when he was at California, he was saying that he met somebody who felt really kind of regretted following a wrong teacher, but that teacher was not ordained monk. He was lay person. However, she was asking Geshe-la what to do, and his response is there's nothing that he can do from his side. But again, the important thing here is this was mentioned before by actually in the earlier part. His Holiness he advised, when you first seek teachings, you just go and attend the teachings, and then just be kind of audience rather than seriously creating a connection, and then listen and spend time, and then if you see he or she is qualified, then you can adopt the connection or relationship. So that lady was complaining that her teacher was now she has no faith or respect at all to him, and to what he does is kind of like a parrot, recite lots of prayers and chantings, but nothing kind of really worth of learning, And Geshe-la responded that he, it's kind of too late to kind of complain to that specific teacher. She should have, before actually consider him as a teacher, she should be spending enough time in examining, because qualifications of teachers were very precisely mentioned in Sutra, Buddha's own teaching, as well as in the text of Vinaya, discipline text. Also, like in Vajrayana or Tantric text, very clearly also in Tantric, like 20 qualifications. So it is responsibility of her to make to make sure that teachers is actually qualified. But now that kind of has happened and it's over, and now in the future she must kind of engage in more study if she is still willing to go around and find another one, and studying and understanding and learning, that will kind of help her. Other than that, Geshe-la said he doesn't have any other advice in that kind of situation.
rangi sen teba yona chuzi ni siji lama dan le mi do computer pa ma da yarum sunchi ka ta ka so tikiti su sen jang to no penda do
Generally, when we say Lama, spiritual teacher in Tibetan woods, literally the word itself has a meaning of, something heavy with knowledge, something knowledgeable. And in the sutra ornament text, the minimum qualification is when you consider somebody as your teacher, Lama, he or she should be, minimum qualification is more educated than you. There's something that you can learn from him or her. And if you look at the qualification in sutra ornament, Kajala said he never qualifies. He doesn't even possess one qualification, but because of his teacher, he managed to kind of simply sort of unpeel, peel off layers of some words and give you some explanations. And he never has this thought of being able to be a spiritual teacher. In fact, Naropa, a great master, has said that before a Lama, spiritual teacher, there doesn't exist the name Buddha or enlightenment, and all those 1,000 Buddhas or enlightened beings were the result of spiritual teacher. Strongly kind of emphasize the importance of a Lama. And nowadays, if you have a faith and belief and trust and interested, you can be with your spiritual teacher for like 24 hours. Especially a great teacher like His Holiness. As soon as spiritual teacher who is truly qualified, a meaningful spiritual teacher. As soon as you open, your computer, network, there's always teaching there. You can receive teaching anytime, and then it's really up to you how you want to kind of, sort of use those resources. And if you have a faith and belief and trust and interest, you can have access, all 24 hours. So not once you have a proper teacher, spiritual master, and then having your pure faith and respect to that kind of spiritual teacher, and then you will receive, considered as the unending blessings from your teacher. So therefore, not kind of diminishing, faith and respect to a spiritual teacher. The second point, not letting your attention to ethical training waver. Another translation would be actually not diminishing your conscientiousness to the practice or so, whatever training here, it's ethical training, whatever training or practice that you are engaged in, whether it would be individual liberation vow or vows of bodhisattvas or tantric vow, most important thing is maintaining conscientiousness all the time. And here, the one who is going to get the benefit is yourself, not others. So therefore, kind of holding dearly, sacredly, your ethical training is something really, really kind of important, as if like kind of taking care of one's own, like a heart part, crucial part of body.
보다 로정을 좋아 많이 봤으니까 자주기 쌤 돈이 또 따라기 파인드 그 삼상다 된 좋아시기야 이 파인드 준주나 가 뉴당고 찾아 파인드 뉴당배나 가서 자주 생기기니 계지기 거의 떠는로에 냠산 대신 남기 세지 줘봐 이제 남이 집에 차지기로 세송도 저 뒤에 뭐네 생각지다고 저는 뭐 민상윤이는 야외 인제는 다음에 그런 자주 생기자와 라센좀 이쪽이 파인기 티지 솔라와서 이양년도 선도 양년 선다나 도와스는 말라 선선지 또 시나 애니 가세 이용고 말아 간간이 있잖아 가세 이용 말이야 애니 저와 가는 시나 생기 튼다 이 선선지리 가라 내가 가세요. 내가 저와 가지 주나. 뭐지? 저기 생기 파인 좋아해달라. 저기 로정을 좋아해달라. 저기 생기 파인 몸도 다의 파인. 뭐다 되게 인지 양양도 상당히 개치로 통도지.
The third point, or which don't let three factors. The third factor here is not letting your joy in mind training lessen. Joy, or it could be interest. Interest seems more kind of closer. So having a interest in the practice of mind training. And the interest, in order to have a genuine interest or, inspiration, this inspiration or interest will come out. It will come out if you have a good understanding of the benefits or advantages of altruistic mind and understanding of emptiness. And when we look at the Shantideva's text guide to the Bodhisattva's way of life, the entire first chapter is about the benefits of altruistic mind, such as soon as you generate mind of altruistic or awakening mind, you become extraordinary, like sons of victorious, or sons of Buddhas or enlightened being. And he mentioned the entire chapter of benefits or advantages of. So the more you kind of understand the benefits, advantages, the more there's possibilities of having this keen interest in the practice of altruistic mind.
아딘데 파진 중도 오메 위치상 나도 모르는데 라마를 뛰기면나 라메가니 진짜만지비 소소 지 라지 퇴웨이나 됐으면 되니 말 됐으면 말이나 상도당 말 상마다나 라메 숨겨대 소소 진let다 마주 봐 뭐네 오메 위치상 라파라 파이냐나 술진 답에 고감메 위치상 그뒤에나 빼 야랄 돈탄 융아기 니지 야랄 타바이나 라파라 파이나 베샤라 라파라 파이나 아니 수린 타고 시긴다 뭐는 자 카점 지점 차라 게 파이마 좀 질때 니도로 저와 탐제 빠메비 이제 치로 로종로 좋아냐면 잔주기 샘기 윤단도 대바당 대장비 눈바서 메리치다 같이 좀 마도 님 또님 메바 남 대자기 켜노 서서히 숨도
very kind of the text very in this short commentary it very decisively says what can happen if you weaken these factors. The first one, if you do not believe in or respect your master, there is no way or there is no beginning for you to develop knowledge. So, when you don't believe, when you don't trust to your teacher, whatever you hear from your teacher, you feel it is not appropriate, and then you ignore, and then you won't think about it, and so therefore there is no benefit of whatever that you listen or hear from your teaching. So therefore it is kind of shutting down the beginning of your door to further kind of your knowledge. First point. And if your concern for ethical training decreases, there is no chance for your ethics to be pure, for all downfalls and misdeeds come about through recklessness. So if there is a lack of conscientiousness, naturally you will be engaged in all kinds of recklessness, without any kind of sense of seriousness. And then third, if your interest in the mind training declines, if there is no interest, lacking interest in mind training, you will lack the faith that would enable you to appreciate the qualities of the awakening mind and the aspiration and so forth that are its result. You don't see any kind of positiveness in the awakening mind, or there's no aspirations of what you try to attain, the result. The drawback of this is that lacking a heartfelt interest in the doctrine, you will pay it only lip service. So then it becomes simply kind of lip service. There's nothing kind of real benefit that you are getting from. So trust and faith and belief, or faith, we usually talk of different types. Here, especially talking about the pure faith, that's the faith that is the result of seeing the positive qualities of whatever that you are engaged in here, the altruistic mind. And so that kind of faith, which is result of seeing positive qualities, that kind of faith becomes really stable. We find a metaphor of like nailing into the rock. It becomes really strong, stable, and on the other hand, ignorant faith, without knowing of positive qualities of whatever whoever your faith has, it's like striking a nail in the mud. It will really kind of unstable and can disappear anytime. So there's a saying like Kadamba's great masters that although I haven't attained this kind of result yet, but I will, however, sometime in the future. So maintaining that kind of interest for a very long time and having a stable and firm kind of conviction.
왜 뭔데기 때 봐야 돼? 다음에 때 봐야 돼. 다음에 때 봐. 쉬워지네 지금.
So faith, could be a different type, as we mentioned before, and the most important faith that is needed, we are talking here, is a pure faith, which is really based on, again, as mentioned before, seeing the positive qualities. And in fact, Buddha himself has mentioned that, without this kind of faith, a pure faith, a person without faith won't generate any or create any, positive or good action. He will never able to create any white karma or positive actions. Just like a seed which is burned when you plant it with oil, dirt and everything, it looks like it will grow. You will see a green kind of fresh, but it doesn't yield fruit. There's no kind of fruit in there. So that would be like it. So kind of we see the the importance of pure faith. We'll take a break here.